Well, welcome everyone who's watching, and today we have a fabulous group of 4 faculty from one of our largest colleges, the College of Health and Human Services. And what we're going to hear from them today is how they have managed in this new normal that we're all facing. And they'll talk about their teaching strategies, their research and scholarly activity strategies, and maybe some of the service they've been doing as well. But before we get to that, let me just introduce you to each of them. Just very briefly, we have with us Cheryl Rock from the Department of Family and Consumer Science. She's relatively new to campus, been here for 6 years, longer than I have, and is very focused on food engineering, ethical dilemmas, and sustainability of food science. And so welcome, Cheryl. Chris Molidor is a social work department person or School of Social Work person, and he's been here for over 25 years, and he is a full professor and researcher within social work. He's committed to making a difference in the lives of teens and young adults, and has imparted that passion to his undergraduate and graduate students. I know only a little bit about Chris's achievements since I've been here, and those little achievements could take me an hour to talk about, so I'll stop right there and have Chris talk about his own achievements in a little while. So welcome, Chris.
Thank you.
And we also have Selena Nguyen-Rodriguez, who's an assistant professor of health sciences, and she focuses on minority populations and a holistic examination of health outcomes, something that's been very much missing in our public health response to this pandemic crisis. She's been very effective at engaging students in her research, and that centers on cultural and psychosocial factors that influence minority populations. She's been a faculty research associate in the CSULB Center for Latino Community Health, Evaluation and Leadership Training. So welcome, Selena. And Kellie Walters is a brand new assistant professor in kinesiology who's already making an impact in the lives of her students. Her research interests lie in adolescent girls' health, as well as physical activity during pregnancy. And she is the co-founder of a new nonprofit program called Smart Fit Girls. And you can check it out, actually, if you want to look at it, and I'm sure Kellie will give us a link. But what that does is teaches adolescent girls to love their bodies by embracing their own strengths. And that's such a wonderful, positive message. And you can see that Kellie is a great messenger. And so let's sort of start off. And, you know, I've told people a little bit about your research. I've told people a little bit about where you are. But let's just sort of get right to the meat of the discussion. How has COVID-19 and our alternative modes of instruction, which were sort of forced on us by the pandemic, how has that taught you anything, or surprised you, or enabled you in any way, or disabled you in some way? So I don't know who wants to start, but I will pick Cheryl.
Lucky one.
Yes.
This pandemic has taught me a lot about myself and also my students, in the fact that we are equally invested in this process, because really the only way through, or the only way out, is through it. And so based on the fact that the pandemic has delayed us in many things that we are normally doing in life, being face-to-face with our students. I particularly am a scientist, so a lot of my work in my classrooms are very, very hands-on. I love engaging with students because I'm also a faculty member on campus. So I had to find very innovative ways on how to engage with my students. So I would say the most surprising element about this pandemic is that, how dedicated we are, faculty as well as students, because we showed up regardless of what caveats this pandemic imposed on us. Mm-hmm. So that will be my contribution to that answer.
Okay, fantastic. How about you, Kellie? You're a brand new sort of tenure track professor here. I can only imagine how tough that must have been.
Yeah, I feel really lucky that I had experience teaching online classes and hybrid classes.
Oh, great.
Personally, I felt a little bit more prepared, although now we're all Zoom experts, so that's great. But, you know, I think for me, it wasn't so much that it was like surprising as it was maybe like I was just so grateful for how everyone handled it. Students, faculty, staff, yeah, we all have bad moments, like when our Zoom doesn't work all of a sudden. But I think everyone really handled it with some grace and compassion for one another. And it's one of the, I think, many reasons why I love working here.
I hope you're right. And I mean, from what I've been able to see, the vast majority of faculty, staff, and students have sort of stepped up in the most amazing way and done amazing things. That doesn't mean there haven't been sort of big problems, but as you say, we try and manage those and everything in a compassionate way, and that's what makes the difference. So thanks.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, Chris, of course, you have many years of experience teaching in sort of perhaps a more traditional style, but I'm not sure how this transition, if it was a transition, was like for you.
I brought you something.
Okay.
The floating globe. You ready?
Yeah. Oh, wow. Look at that.
It's just a kitchen ladle. And the reason I brought that to you is because I found that all of the things, being a great in-person instructor, they translate beautifully to being a great Zoom instructor. Almost all of the same qualities transfer over. And if you love teaching in person, you can love teaching Zoom. You can make it work every way.
You know, it's as you say that, it's kind of one of these, as President Connolly always says, it's sort of a blinding flash of the obvious. But as you say it, I just feel so jealous, because one of the things that you lose when you become an evil administrator is that you lose the opportunity to teach. And I used to just love my teaching.
Yeah.
And as you say, it doesn't really matter what kind: large class, small class, lab class, lecture class, activity class. They're all just wonderful.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, we're privileged to be surrounded by our students, no doubt. And thank you for the globe. You'll have to show me how to do it. I kind of
It's just in my sleeve. It's just a simple. People think it's magic, but teaching is just really easy if you have the basics. That's what
and the
and
passion.
if you love it.
I guess that's true. How about you, Selena?
So I would say something that surprised me about myself was that I could teach statistics online.
Of course.
I was always afraid of it.
Yeah.
You know, as a student, like I always thought I would never want to take an online stats class. It just seems so scary to me. But my students are engaged. They keep their cameras on. You know, they ask lots of questions. They're all performing really, really well. So that's made me feel a lot better. Like, okay, like I can do this, and they're getting it what they need out of this. Because that's always my biggest fear is like, what if I'm not being effective? What if I'm not doing my job the way I'm supposed to? So it's been really nice. And then I think something that I guess was a little less expected is that students actually crave the classroom. You know, I think sometimes we wonder, like, you know, are they like so like burnt out or tired of us, you know, but like I've really gotten that sense that like they miss being in the classroom, and they actually appreciate being able to be in the classroom and have an instructor's attention to come, you know, talk to them and, you know, check in how are they doing and all of that. And then I would just say, you know, what's been really nice to see is that we really are quite resilient beings, you know, and like kind of like what Kellie mentioned, you know, like we're all just kind of coming together and doing the best with what we have and finding ways to do okay and do better or thrive whenever possible.
Well, that's undoubtedly true, and I'm perfectly sure that your fear of not being an effective teacher is very unfounded. Because I think, to what Chris and Cheryl and Kellie and you have all said is that we're all passionate teachers, and we kind of go with the flow. If we've got to do it online, we'll figure out ways of doing it. And it's certainly more difficult for some than for others, as Cheryl was saying. If you sort of are used to hands-on instruction, then you're going to have to develop some kinds of ideas. But I think what impresses me most, and I of course am observing this from across the campus, is the incredible variety of ways that faculty have adapted and changed. And when we say we're a teaching excellent university, I think there's a reason for that. And the reason is, of course, all of you and your colleagues who make it sound so easy. But come on, there must have been days when you just kind of said, oh God, I can't take this anymore. And what kinds of things do you tell yourself, or how have you kind of paced yourself in this new environment? Because teaching, as we all know, is an incredibly demanding, giving profession, and probably more so now. So, any reactions? Kellie, you sound as if you're about to say something.
I think to answer the question of how have you paced yourself, I don't know if this is necessarily a time that, for me personally, I'll be honest, I've paced myself. It's been more of an opportunity to say yes to a lot of things. I'm actually on part-time maternity leave, and I think I'm working way more than I would. But that's
tough thing.
Yeah, but there's so many great things that are happening right now on campus, not even COVID related, with social justice, everything that I want my hands and heart and mind to be in.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I want to pace myself right now, but it's like Zoom, days of teaching and stuff where it's just frustrating. I think that's, we all feel it. And I think being truthful with our students, like, hey, we're all exhausted here. My 3-hour lab, let's be done in 15-minute time so we can get 15 minutes early, like done early. Like, let's just be humans for a second and recognize we need that.
Yeah.
I always found that such an important part of teaching, which is that you teach authentically.
Yeah.
You're a human being teaching other human beings. If you're tired or exhausted or depressed or miserable, what's wrong with sharing it? I mean, not that you want to impose your afflictions, as it were, on your students, but that's not what I'm saying. But I think it's a key to successful teaching. And by the way, Kellie, you do want to pace yourself, because academic life will always take you when you volunteer. So it's important to learn to say no. Not all the time, but definitely learn to say no.
I appreciate hearing
Cheryl,
that.
do you agree?
Yes, absolutely. I believe that self-care is very important, because our students and our colleagues really rely on us. They need us. We need each other. So I always tell my students, when you just breathe. This is a very challenging time for everybody, and we've had to change our modality of life as well as the way we do things in general. So establishing health, yourself, your care, emotionally, mentally, and emotionally, just being vulnerable enough to say, I am not okay, or I need help. Because what happens too is that, a lot of my students, they get paralyzed in fear about just reaching out. And it's like, no, it's not the time to, you have to really let go of the ego, because you need help. Everybody needs help. When I want help, I really do reach out. And we have so many wonderful services on campus. The Health Center have so many initiatives to help students stay healthy mentally, physically, emotionally. There's the counseling and psychological services. I always recommend those to my students. I also like to show them my human side. Most students, when I ask them to describe a professor, they're like perfectionist. So GPA of 4.0, you know, and so I practice Korean style martial arts. I'm actually training for my black belt, my first dan black belt. So I usually highlight.
Good know.
Yeah. Yeah.
I usually highlight myself doing some of my katas on videos, or maybe breaking a board and telling them that, you know, this is a life. You know, it's challenging sometimes, but the only way upward is through it. I also play the violin, so I would, if I do have a virtual recital, I would invite them to join me on the recital, or I'll show a video of myself playing the violin, because I want them to understand that in this time we need to find ways to really maintain not only our career, you know, ambitions, but we have to really take care of ourselves emotionally and physically if we are going to make an impact in this world. And that's why we're here, to learn, to help, you know, the population, of the world. So we have to take care of ourselves.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. And Chris, I mean, of course, you have spent your career to some extent in sort of, you know, helping and making a difference, as I said. So does this all ring a bell with you?
Yes. I'll tell you two different things. One is I got a new ukulele and I started lessons 3 weeks ago. And I showed the students on the first day that I got it what I sounded like, and it's awful. And I want them to see that the more you practice, the better it becomes, and it becomes part of who you are, in the same way that the skills that they're supposed to be learning for clinical practice seem awkward at first, and it's not a part of them, but keep practicing and it will become a part of you. Secondly, in terms of the pacing, I've been using, starting with Zoom, a electronic book with electronic quizzes, electronic tests, case studies. So a lot of the work is already pre-graded, and they have to do the reading before they do the quiz. And so, you know, it kept that kind of the integrity of doing the reading, and in a different way than if they were in class with me. The difficult part was you have to set it up the entire semester prior to beginning. And that took a long time, but now it just is literally smooth sailing, because it's all on Beachboard, every single thing that they need. And the technology problems have been absolutely minimal. And so that's really helped me a lot.
Yeah, it's, you know, I have some experience teaching online myself, and I found that too, that it's sort of it's a different kind of rhythm from face-to-face teaching. There's kind of a lot more initial setup, you know, cost, as it were, and then it's sort of downhill from there in a sense of gravity helping you, not towards catastrophe. But I hope. But you know, as I'm thinking of what all of you have said, it sort of totally fits in with Selena's idea of the holistic, you know, the holistic examination of health outcomes and holistic examination of education is really what we're talking about. It's not just I go in on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 8 to 9 and I talk about statistics for 50 minutes, and what you get out of it is what you get out of it. Hopefully nobody's doing that, and I know you aren't. Selena, pacing yourself, sort of, do you have any great positive stories to share or inspire us all?
Well, I would like to share one thing that I started doing with my research lab. I think pretty early, maybe around May, we started doing weekly wellness challenges. Starting in the fall, we went to bi-weekly because, you know, things are a little busy. But I really think it's made a difference for all of us. It's just, even if, you know, I don't require people to necessarily share, you know, if they met their goals or whatever, but it's just helped us to remember that the need for that self-care. You know, we really do have to put ourselves first. A lot of us, that's not necessarily our nature. You know, we tend to put others first. And so having a reminder that you need to put yourself first, or else you won't be able to do for others has been really helpful for me, for just connecting with my students, learning new things about them. You know, I feel like I try to learn a lot about the students I work with, but just these challenges, like it's like, oh wow, I never knew, you know. So that's been a really cool thing to have going on, and just feel like we're supporting each other. And then, you know, just the reminders of stress reduction. You know, you really need to find something that works for you. So, you know, having that tailored approach to, okay, what's going to work for me in this situation to mellow myself out, you know, whether it's a deep breath or doing some martial arts, you know, whatever it is.
Yeah, martial arts, music, you know, physical exercise, whatever it is, any or all of those are great ideas. So, I mean, all right, you've got me in front of you, and I can pass things on to the campus, to Jane or anyone else. What advice do you have? What, you know, I think one of the things we all need to do at the, you know, when this sort of period ends, is to look back and say, well, what did we do right? And we've spoken a lot about that. What did we do wrong? What can we learn from it? I mean, obviously we can't change the past. What's done is done, but what can we do differently, or what should we change right now to make things better? How can I help? Because of course that's my role, to make your jobs as easy and productive and joyful as possible. So what can I do?
Brian, I would say one thing that you've already been doing, but I can't remember which one of you said earlier about it's not just the pandemic. There's so much going on in the world right now. And one of them is the Black Lives Matter. And something that I think that our university can continue to improve on is just having that at the top of our brain constantly, in terms of curriculum, how we treat each other, being aware of ourselves, policies, and incorporating it in every single classroom. That will make us stronger and better, I believe. It already is, but continue to.
Yeah, I of course agree. And, you know, we've made some steps forward, and but by all means, we need to do lots more. Not only as a university, but as a society, to kind of face up to issues that perhaps we haven't faced up to, and that are hard to face up to, but that are necessary if we're going to make progress. So good, yeah, I appreciate that. And as I always do when somebody makes a good suggestion, is to say, I welcome your participation and knowledge and contributions to that, because this is not something I can do top down. I don't think there's actually anything I can do top down, but together we can make good progress. So thank you, Chris. Any other ideas or things we should do or should stop doing? I know Norbert Schurer from CLA in English always says, well, what should we stop doing? And so far we haven't really found very much. And so any ideas on that?
I just feel I've been really listening actively to the students with regards to their career outlook. A lot of them are really nervous now, because obviously COVID has changed the trajectory in many kinds of careers that exist for them. And so just directing them in ways they can professionally develop themselves. So many of them are taking major courses in their area of expertise. And I encourage the students to really look to enhance their career skills by taking a minor too, to really make themselves more diverse in terms of skills that they can transfer into the industry. Also, joining professional organizations that affiliate their major, to learn more about, you know, how to seek jobs from at home, or how to enhance their technical skills, because obviously a lot of corporations and businesses now are going online, and so that has also changed the modality and way how business is constructed. And then last, just thinking about, being your own, employer, where you can look at business opportunities where you can make an impact in the world and look at other ways to develop yourself professionally. So these are things that I have actually done. Just listen to my students actively and finding different resources to help them on campus, and also bring other people from industry, practitioners from industry, to give them some idea about their experiences now and the challenges they're having with COVID and what their job outlook looks like. So I would say definitely listening actively and really helping students to navigate this technological era of finding jobs.
Yes, before we go to Selena, I just want to say how important that is and how we're all trying to be that bridge between, the current reality and our classrooms, because we're not an ivory tower, and we don't want to be, and things have changed out there, so that presumably means something should change back in here. But yeah, really wonderfully empowering points there, Cheryl. Sorry, Selena, you were saying something.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say, I feel like the campus has done a really good job with a lot of things. I feel like it feels like the students, staff, faculty are like our well-being is priority through all of this, and I really appreciate that. I feel like the campus has stepped up to provide whatever support and resources that they can for all of the stakeholders, and so just I would ask that you all keep reminding us that those things are there, because I think once we kind of, oh yeah, we saw that, great, we'll move on, and then we won't remember, oh, this is there when we need it. And so I think having those consistent reminders like, hey, this is here for you, helps us all know that like we're not alone, and there is something, there is help available for us. And so, and just along those lines, just being sure not to be influenced by all the stuff that people are like, oh, you don't need to worry about that, or like that's not important. Just resisting any temptation to fall into that, and just keep knowing that keeping everyone safety and health and well-being is priority through all of this.
Absolutely, and what you say is so important, and it's something I can take to heart, because communication is such a difficult thing. I mean, we know even from our classes, sort of the example of, don't forget the midterm is in 2 weeks. Don't forget the midterm is in a week. Don't forget the midterm's tomorrow. And then the midterm comes, and what do you mean? No one told us we had a midterm. And the point is that that's not, I'm not saying that to sort of make fun of students. I'm saying that's just a natural human reaction. We need to hear things over and over in different ways from different people, and then we get to hear things. And especially when it's as important as our well-being, the fact that I may have said something in an email, or Jane said something in a message, doesn't necessarily mean that people have heard it. So great reminder of our responsibility to re-demonstrate what we have. So that's great. Well, it's so interesting. So Cheryl plays the violin, which I wanted to ask you, Cheryl, is that classical or jazz, or what kind of playing is it?
Classical. I love classical music. Even though being from the Caribbean, we like a lot of jazz too as well, but my preferred style is classical. I aspire to be a Long Beach symphony player someday, and I'm taking exams that relate to the Royal Schools of Music. So I'm grade 4. There are 8 grades right now, so I'm at level 4.
Oh, impressive. It's like you, as you all know, I'm from South Africa, and we also had the Royal Schools of Music, all these colonial artifacts. And I played the piano, but I don't think I ever got to level 4. But my spouse actually did the Trinity College, which is sort of the alternative to Royal Schools. And he plays the piano, and he's an LTCL, and he usually plays chamber music. And that's one of the things we haven't been able to kind of find how to do.
Yeah.
Because Zoom doesn't do it delays things slightly, but just enough so that it doesn't sound right. But anyway, you know, you're all from CHHS, which, as I said, is one of our biggest colleges, and certainly it's an incredibly diverse college, with ranging from kinesiology, social work, nursing, family, and all kinds of other things. What do you see as the future of the college, say in, you know, Beach 2030, in 2030, when I probably won't be here, but Kellie, you'll be here, and, you know, probably a full professor, and looking forward to, you know, taking on some leadership roles. What do you think CHHS is going to look like?
I think we're going to be more honest and vulnerable with where we are as a college.
Oh, interesting.
I think, and just to, I think COVID and I think the social movements that are happening right now, I think have made us all do a little introspective look into who we are individually as well as a community. And I think one of the reasons why I knew this was my dream job was when I came on campus and I saw the diversity of students and faculty. Yeah. I was like, yes. I was coming from Clemson, South Carolina, and I was excited to come back to California. I was like, yes, this is all about it. And then when you get here, you start to realize that systematically there are some things that probably could change to make us better. And I think in order to do that, we need to have some open, honest, difficult conversations. And we're getting there. So.
Okay. You know, I'm so delighted to hear that, because one of the things that I think differentiates the Cal State system from many other universities and many other systems across the country is how much we empower you, our faculty, to lead and make decisions and guide the university. And when you say things like that, I know that we're in good hands. Yeah. And so that's great. That's great to hear. Do you think so, Chris? Do you agree?
I completely agree with what Kellie said. 100%. I think with Dean Lounsbury, there's no telling, because that our dean, that she doesn't understand no. She finds a way to get things done, and I think it's really appreciated. I think that there will be a much stronger interdisciplinary working. The problem isn't that people don't believe in it. I think it's that structurally, it's really difficult to set that up. Where if I'm teaching over in consumer and family sciences, what happens to the School of Social Work in the class that I'm, and so how do you make that literally work? But I know that there's a way to do that. And I think we're moving in that direction, and I'm really excited about that.
Great. Well, let me know how I can help, because I mean, I think the silos that we've sort of set up, partly for our own convenience and benefit, but I think they almost trap us in suboptimal ways of behaving and teaching and researching that simply don't fit with the modern world. Yeah. So that'll be very exciting. And again, back to your holistic idea, Selena, which obviously I love the word. I've said it 3 times, but that totally fits in. Do you agree, or do you want to take the conversation somewhere else? Your choice. Future of CHHS.
I definitely, I love that Christian brought up, the whole transdisciplinary, interdisciplinary thing, because I've definitely enjoyed the fact that I've been able to take advantage of that here. I've been able to, work with great colleagues, some present, right. To be able to just learn how can we come together to offer student support? How can we do really great research together that's tackling all the pieces that need to come together? And so I think just the disciplines that are within our college, it's just such an easy match, for us all to work together. So I really do appreciate and, recognize that. I think that's a great strength that we can build upon and grow. And then, just again, thinking about what's going on out in the world and the disciplines within our college, I feel we have a great opportunity to be kind of front and center in all of this, and making meaningful contributions to everything that we need to see change in the world for, and I think it's a wonderful opportunity for all of us to be able to be a part of that.
That's really nice.
I agree. Yeah, that's beautiful. It's kind of, I'm almost tempted to say, all right, you've wrapped it up right there, but I'm sure Cheryl has things to add as well. But yes?
I do, absolutely. I really agree with I second and echo what Kellie mentioned, that one of the reasons why I love working at Cal State Long Beach is the fact that we have such a diversity of students on campus. And then also, as I can appreciate, I was an international student. And so because of my positive experience going to school here in the US, it has broadened my horizon to actually take CHHS abroad on many levels. I have created a class where I take students to Barbados every summer. Unfortunately, this summer I could not because of COVID, obviously.
Right.
And so that way the students are more exposed to just different cultures and way of life. And when they come back to Cal State Long Beach, they're so humbled and so enlightened by just how hospitable the culture is. And I also value collaborations with my colleagues in Germany. I've had a chance through the Professors Around the World grant to travel to Hamburg, Germany, to visit Hamburg University of Life Sciences, where I have established exchange programs for my food science students to actually take courses abroad. So I really value international education a lot. And I feel that, Cal State Long Beach really makes a great fit for me because I'm a huge ambassador and supporter of international education. I've worked a lot with Cheryl Olson, and I've also served as the ambassador for the South African Committee, where we plan, programs every semester to educate students about different cultures. And so I really enjoy that. And so I can see, CHHS not only establishing itself here on campus, but also abroad, making more international connections with other colleagues abroad.
Well, it's funny that you say that, because when was it, Tuesday, I had a really very interesting Zoom meeting with the current and the future Vice Chancellor of Wits University in Johannesburg, which is my alma mater. And we were talking about ways we could expand our collaboration. And as soon as travel starts again, I look forward to leading a team of people to South Africa, and maybe we can sort of get some CHHS faculty on it, and because I do think, yeah, we may all go. We may just, the whole university may shut down and go, but we'll have to sort something out. But we're also keen to travel again. But I think what you say, Cheryl, is so crucial because one of the things that the Vice Chancellor said is, and this is, by the way, Dr. Adam Habib, who's leaving WITS, who's going to be head of the School of Oriental and African Studies at the University of London. Wow. So he's a sort of prominent sort of person, and he was saying, he views the future of higher education as transnational. And so, we're not just talking about interdisciplinary within the college, we're talking about, we have global problems, we have global issues, we need global solutions. And that's going to happen with, he said, and I agreed, collaborations between the global north and the global south. And anyway, I look very forward to continuing that kind of eagerness to work with us and have it expressed by you. So that's fantastic. Okay, well, I mean, let's sort of end off with on a light note, and maybe a lighter note would be, what one thing have you done in the last 8 months of kind of isolation and strangeness to make your worlds better? And I'll tell you what I've done is that I started doing some high impact exercises every day because I'm, as you probably all know, I'm a terribly lazy person, and I was looking for something that would be short and doable and would have some benefit. And I must say, it's been an incredibly positive thing for me. So I don't know, anything like that sort of luck that you found, Selena? Anything?
I would say something that I've found myself doing more and making more of a, I don't know if I'm necessarily doing it more consciously, but I'm finding myself doing it more, is just appreciating the little things. There's silver linings to things all the time. There's, and just really finding like a reason to smile in whatever it, whatever it can be for that moment. I feel like that's made a difference.
Fantastic. How about you, Kellie?
Well, I had a baby 4 months ago, so I would say
Incredibly positive experience.
it's, yeah, pretty wonderful. So playing with him, like being the most silly person possible just to see him like giggle or smile.
What's his name?
Keaton.
Oh,
Keaton.
that's
Oh,
beautiful.
what a beautiful name. So
Yeah,
Keaton.
everyone says it reminds them of Batman. But that reminds me, if you want to ask that question of what can you do, I have a whole thought on taking a feminist approach to what we do at CSULB right now because of COVID and researchers and women. But we could talk about that later.
Indeed, it's something that's come up in our cabinet and something that's come up, as we know, across the nation. And, to me, there's so many things that we can do, and we have done some,
Yeah.
but definitely need more. So, okay. Well, just to sort of repeat my invitation, if we were actually on campus, my office door is always open, almost always open, and, drop by, make an appointment. But since we don't have to worry about office doors, make an appointment. Speak to Amy Paulson, my administrative assistant, who actually runs the university, as you know, and she'll set something up and we can talk. Because it's exactly that kind of thing that, we need your creativity, your ideas, and ways we can support you effectively to make it work. Okay,
Thanks.
perfect. And how about you, Christian?
I hate having to follow Kellie's. That was so perfect. I like, holy Moses! I had a baby. No, Brian, I took out magic.
Well, it makes me smile anyway.
Yeah. And Tracy and I are planning our retirement. And
you're not allowed to retire, Christian.
I'm afraid she disagrees with you. And so we found a place in Coeur d'Alene, which is just beautiful on the lake. And we're going to get that ready, build a small house there.
Well, how exciting. Gosh, the next stage. And it's actually one of the things that people talk about, the arc of an academic career. And, we go to school, then we go to graduate school, then we get jobs, and then we get promoted and all these wonderful things. And then what? And then, of course, life goes on and you do all kinds of other exciting things, and eventually you stop doing them and do new things. So, yeah, that's fabulous. Well, I hope we can delay it just a little bit. I'll do my best. But
I'm not making any announcements. That's all right.
Good. Okay. Well, that's a first step. So, and Cheryl, bring us home.
Definitely. I would say, just to bring home, my entire family lives in Barbados. I'm the only member here of my family.
Wow.
And so I've been finding myself just really trying to connect with them online. I have a nephew. He's going to be a year old on Saturday. And I haven't held him since January of last year. So we spend, a few hours on Zoom, just playing with each other. And then, and just asking myself, my family, if we are okay, because obviously family is very important to me. And so not being able to engage with them in person has had its challenges. But I would say that one thing COVID has taught me is that no matter how far you are apart, there's always a way to connect. And so I'm just looking at the glass as half full and not half empty, because we have to be thankful for the small things that we do have, and versus focus on the things that we don't have, because the more you focus on what you have, you bring that into your life more. So that's just my take-home message.
Well, indeed. I mean, when I said take it home, I sort of didn't mean it literally, but you actually did. And that's so wonderful, because I share with you that kind of diasporic experience. I'm the only one of my family here in North America. And, thank goodness for Zoom. I often think of my grandparents who sort of immigrated from Europe to South Africa in 1930 and never saw their families again. And, the only communications they had were occasional letters. And, how spoiled am I to be able to speak to my nieces and nephews for as much as I like on Zoom or WhatsApp or anything. So indeed, let's be grateful. Well, it has been an absolute pleasure and delight to spend this little time with you. I look forward to future meetings, jointly or separately. And that was really fantastic. So congratulations on everything you've done. Thank you for your passion, for your talent, and for your incredible work with our students and your colleagues. And we could never do what we do without you. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Have a good rest of week, and great to spend time with you. Thanks so much.